Released December 26th, 2022 for PSVR by developer and publisher Amata KK. The Tale of Onogoro has to be one of the most creative puzzle games I've ever played, and this is coming from someone who really doesn't like puzzle games. This game impressed me almost every step of this masterfully crafted adventure, and it being on the PSVR proved to be an even more impressive feat, as the visuals here for a VR headset most deemed dead while waiting with bated breaths for the PSVR 2 are quite remarkable. Thanks to the developer for the review key. I've said it perhaps a dozen times, I do not like puzzle games anymore. I grew tired of them, and I'm also no anime fan. This coupled with the fact that I also abhor escort missions, which is what you do for this entire game, escort a shrine maiden and solve puzzles. These factors kinda left me scratching my head as to why I loved this game so much. Yeah, I really loved this one. With the exception of a couple things, the Tale of Onogoro certainly won me over.
Well then, let us proceed.
The story here was pretty good for what this is. It doesn't go too deep, but it gets the job done nicely.
Right now, on Onogoro Island, 5 incensed kami and their followers, the Kenzoku, have manifested. The person behind it all is none other than the man we are pursuing, Elder Masatake.
And your companion Haru gives you so much insight on the lore of Onogoro Island that leaves you hard-pressed to ask for more.
Just like the stone altar at the top of the Tower of Binding. The Ancient Ones sought to harness the power of the Total Nexus and made this island their holy ground.
The opening story had me concerned for a bit, as the developers kinda cheated it by not showing you exactly what was going on. You had to just watch a shot of the earth, while this poor shrine maiden got basically dismantled. But in hindsight, I guess that would not have been a very pleasant thing to see, watching this lady get her limbs removed and her eyeball detached. So there's that.
I will not be able to stop him! Assistance! I need to call for assistance!
Haru Koze, the 223rd High Priestess of the Grand Holy Shrine, a shrine maiden, was chained to a quelling stone by her brother Masatake Arakida, who is on his way to the Tower of Binding to unleash a great evil on the world. A task he's convinced is for the greater good and will bring forth 100 years of peace. While chained to this quelling stone, she was able to summon help. You, who she refers to the entire game through as Honorable Traveler. She summoned you from another dimension, not certain of who or what you really are, or where exactly you came from. She refers to your world as the Unseen World and asks many questions regarding your origins as the story progresses. She can't see you clearly and you cannot speak to her, so your interactions with each other are limited, but plays out very well. Based on certain things she said, particularly when she first meets you, I was kinda expecting some huge fourth wall break at the end, but that never happened. Still, a well put together story nonetheless.
My apologies. I must seem childish to you.
The visuals. These visuals. Look, I get it. The PSVR has been around for quite some time and is quite outdated. This is the reason most VR channels refer to it as dead. But hey, I don't consider any console or gaming peripheral dead, unless it's something like the Stadia, which needs to be connected to an online service to function. I still use my Wii U, 360 and even the retro consoles like the Dreamcast, so you'll never hear me say the PSVR is dead, even with the PSVR 2 on the horizon. But even if I thought it was dead, the Tale of Onogoro must be life support then, because this game looks great. This cel-shaded anime look works so well. The visuals are so crisp and clear. I was surprised. Now, I'm not trying to pass this off as perfect, but it certainly looks better than a lot of Quest 2 titles. The character models look really nice, particularly Haru. When Masatake is on screen, more in the background, he does look blurry. And if you pay attention to the environments, that's where you'll see most of the flaws. Like the leaves. The leaves further away look noticeably poor, but the ones closer, they look pretty decent. I mean, they look like JPEGs animated with a warp distortion effect, but they still work.
The evening sun cast over the clouds looks like an ocean. It is so beautiful. If we were to swim across the ocean of clouds, I wonder if it would lead us to some other land.
Then you'll notice a considerable amount of pop-ins, and the ground textures are also flat, and for some strange reason, Haru has no shadow.
No.
But I'm not trying to pass this off as a current-gen PC VR title. What I'm doing is applauding the devs for an admirable job on this dated piece of tech.
No! Wonderful!
The sound complements the visuals. The score is lovely, the sound effects are suitable, and although I'm not a fan of anime voice acting in general, I still must give credit where credit is due. Haru speaks a lot and delivers her lines masterfully.
O great and powerful Kami, Hime! Divine spirit seated below the raging rapids, who ferries misfortune back to the sea.
And when I say she speaks a lot, damn, this girl can talk.
I am sorry. I am letting my anxiety get the better of me.
The overall sound design as a package was really well done.
We did it!
On to gameplay, the aspect of the Tale of Onogoro that really captivated me. On startup, we've got various options which allow you to tailor this experience to your liking. There is sound and language, movement, difficulty, a movement controls tutorial, and a quelling stone movement tutorial. You're given the option to choose between the DS4 or the move controls, but here's the thing. If you're one of my few regular viewers, you may have heard me time and time again when doing a PSVR review burning the move controls to ashes. Now, I have had enough practice with the Jade Cypher and Blair Witch VR to handle myself with some degree of competence, but it was still a questionable one, my relationship with these move controllers. But here in the Tale of Onogoro, I didn't even attempt the DS4 controls, as I just knew from the get-go that doing that would have completely broken immersion. Especially since I've been playing a ton of PC VR and Quest 2 games in recent years. So I manned up, I went complete move controls, and I'm glad I did it. I got totally acclimated with the moves and was able to navigate my way through this entire game with relative ease. If you've never played PSVR, then you won't understand how odd it feels to be moving with buttons instead of sticks. But I made it work. And I can now confidently say I'm a master of the moves and will proceed to cut down some of my PSVR backlog based on this revelation.
I do not know how to thank you.
The puzzles here are the most creative I've ever experienced. Now here's the thing. This entire game is one huge puzzle. Every aspect of it is based on figuring something out. The controls I just went on about, although not intentional, figuring out and mastering the move controllers is a puzzle in itself. Moving from stage to stage, area to area requires brain power. In order to clear an area, you've got these incredible physics and logic-based puzzles to figure out, which all starts out fairly easy but then ramps up gradually over time. Haru will offer you some assistance, but by let's say stage 3 or 4, there's very little she can do to help. You're on your own.
Amazing! We did it!
I do love the way these puzzles and stages are treated though. They don't necessarily get harder for each area. Sometimes you'll have a real head scratcher, but then the next may be significantly easier. The same goes for the boss fights. Defeating them also requires some deductive reasoning skills. These bosses are on some Nintendo level of creativity. Actually, this entire game leans towards that level of creative genius. And as with the area puzzles, the bosses aren't necessarily harder as you progress. My greatest boss challenge was this one here, which proved harder than even the final boss fight.
Let us defeat Hime together.
The interactions between yourself and Haru are something that I must come back to. Like I said earlier, she talks a lot. But based on the kind of game this is, there is a risk of monotony if not for her constant chatter. Now while she does repeat herself at times, most times, she's going on and on about Onogoro Island's lore, or asking you questions about where you're from. Some of these questions can be answered by nodding or shaking your head, so the interaction with Haru certainly takes things up a notch and maintains a feeling of true immersion throughout. The way damage is handled here is, because you're somehow bonded together, if she gets hit, she feels it. And if you get hit, she also feels it. So yes, the Tale of Onogoro is one huge escort mission, probably the largest escort mission I've ever been a part of, as it left me feeling like some kind of Siamese twin. But for let's say 90% of the journey, it was not an issue.
This cannot be the end!
In combat, you use elemental powers. You can channel your attacks through the use of ki energy gained from channeling stones.
There is a channeling stone here, too. There are 3 types of channeling stones: fire, ground, and air.
Specific elements affect specific colored enemies and puzzles you interact with. This is a major part of the puzzle aspect. You have fire, ground, and air ki, colored yellow, green, and red. So you shoot red enemies with red ki, activate yellow puzzle pieces with yellow ki, and so on. Using this technique against the bosses leaves you feeling really accomplished after taking one down. Same goes for solving a really complex puzzle. There isn't much in the way of exploration here, as the Tale of Onogoro follows a pretty linear path. However, there are these energy orbs hidden throughout the stages that you can collect for a better end score. There are also times where a void appears, something resembling a black hole which tries to take Haru away, so you'll have to keep an eye out for that as well. From protecting and transporting Haru by constantly manipulating the quelling stone she's stuck to, solving these puzzles and taking out from the lesser enemies to the boss characters, the Tale of Onogoro is guaranteed to give you some serious brain exercises. Ever hear persons refer to the left side and right side of your brain? Well, I felt like both sides were 100% engaged my entire playthrough. A truly mentally stimulating experience. Makes me feel like stop being such a lazy bum and start plowing through some more puzzle games actually. I think my issue is, although time is a factor, I don't have all of forever like I used to when I was younger to play through really lengthy and challenging games. I also must admit, I am a bit intimidated by puzzle games as well, as I don't like leaving anything incomplete. So I don't like starting up a game then quitting partway through. That, and I also hate quitting. But the Tale of Onogoro has inspired me to take on more puzzle games. No promises though.
I hope you will see it through by my side.
So far, I've been giving the Tale of Onogoro high praises, as if it has no flaws. But as I alluded to earlier, there were some things that really rubbed me wrong. The devs did this thing that feels like padding, either padding or a sadistic game design choice. This is something I never liked, as far back as gaming in the 80s and 90s. After defeating all the boss characters and getting Haru's body parts back, right before moving on to the very last encounter, she loses them all again, and you have to fight every single boss once more. No. Just no. It seemed like a staple back in the 90s to do this, but apparently some devs are still into this kind of thing. I hate this more than I do bosses with multiple forms. They both bother me considerably though. When it's time to wrap things up, just wrap them up. To insist that I had to fight all the bosses again was really disheartening, to put it nicely. I cannot overstate how much I hate when this happens in a game.
If I fire my bow from those shooting stands and use the power of the total nexus, I should be able to break the counterward and destroy the mirror in 3 shots.
Then, the final boss battle did the multiple forms thing as well. Well, 2 forms, but still.
What a shame.
Then there was the healing. In order to heal yourselves, as you're both basically one, you had to hold hands. But this was a bit of a pain. Main reason perhaps has something to do with the PSVR's camera and tracking setup, but not entirely the PSVR's fault either. What would happen is, I would go over to Haru when she was wounded, try to hold her hands to restore her with my energy, but there would be these tracking issues, where our hands would separate. Sometimes she would even change positions, like a glitch. But even when this wasn't the case, the tedium associated with having to hold hands to heal, especially during a boss encounter, really irritated me.
Your hand, honorable traveler. Unseen world, grant me your power. This cannot be the end.
I'm going to have to say, as beautiful a game as this is, as masterfully crafted as it was, these design choices took it back a couple notches and had it overstay its welcome. When it was all over and the end credits rolled, I did feel a sense of pride and accomplishment, so there's that.
Amazing! We did it!
The Tale of Onogoro doesn't have much in the way of replayability, at least for me. I really wouldn't put myself through this again. Don't get me wrong, it was a great and memorable experience, but I think my brain started to smoke a little by game's end.
I can see it.
After I completed the campaign, I unlocked another outfit for Haru, which admittedly looks even better than her original, and I'm also given the option to select any level I'd like to revisit. This is all good and well, especially if you're the kind of person who loves to replay, loves to revisit. Me? One and done, son. One and done. It's time to move on to the next.
You are a natural with the celestial weapons.
The Tale of Onogoro is an amazing game. Even more impressive that it's on the PSVR, a headset I didn't expect to be seeing anything else for. So 2 thumbs up to Amata KK. You guys did an incredible job here.
Victory, as expected.
Thank you for watching. If you like my content, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's say I found a way to piss you off with this one though. Then hey, the logical course of action would be to dislike, unsub, and all that other fun stuff that'll have you leaving this engagement feeling vindicated. Either way, I won't hold it against you, partner. Our game is never over.
I will never forget this, for as long as I live.